as well.
Absolutely. Here we
Uh,
go, Larry. I'll let you have it.
and I'll preface this by saying one of the reasons I like the recording is I transcribe every meeting that I do, whether it's in person on Zoom, uh, over, phone conversations. I transcribe every meeting that I have and put it into AI and use it as training data for me for later on. So, that's just another form of how we're going to be able to use AI. So let me send a request to share my screen really quick.
Yes.
And if you guys have any questions, I'm going to try to monitor the chat as much as I can. But hopefully you guys can see my screen okay.
Yes. We
Yes.
can see it.
Awesome. So let me throw the chat up here. All right. So let's get started. So
Okay,
I
one
put
thing
this.
really quick. One
Yeah,
thing really
yeah.
quick, Larry. I want to put that in there. So everybody who's not following Larry yet, follow Larry on his socials. I'm gonna put them in the chat here. So don't miss out on following. I'm putting the Facebook one, YouTube one, and LinkedIn one. If you have another one, Larry, you'd like to add, please put it in there.
Uh,
Follow
yeah,
Larry.
like Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, TikTok. I mean, I've got all the bases covered. Thanks to AI, I've got all the bases covered. How about that?
There we
Come
go.
here. Come here.
Um, so I put this webinar together. Uh, well, basically because well, I did a class like a couple weeks ago, and what I noticed in the class is the questions that were coming up. There were a lot of people that were still on the ground level when it came to AI. Like they had a lot of questions, a lot of those like, where do I get started? What are the things I should think about first? What are the things I need to do first? And that kind of like splashed into my head like, hey, this we need to put something together for people who maybe have dabbled in AI a little bit, but kind of want to find a way to take it to the next level. And my guess is because ChatGPT has been out for 2 years, everybody in here has probably dabbled somewhat in AI. And if you're here, you're probably looking to take it to the next level. Like, how am I going to be able to utilize this tool to do XYZ and help me save time? Okay. So that's why this class is going to be so great today. So what we're going to talk about here today a little bit is like the different forms of AI. Like what are the different forms? Text to image, large language models. I'm going to kind of give you a broad overview of a couple of them. We're going to talk about prompting because prompting is the most important facet when it comes to getting the results you want out of artificial intelligence. And I think it's the place where a lot of people kind of like maybe need a little bit of extra help or a little extra nudge. We're going to talk about custom GPTs. If you haven't seen custom GPTs or heard of them, I'm going to touch on those a little bit. And we're going to talk a little bit about the mobile app that ChatGPT has as well. And then how we can put this all together and you can get started using AI and make your 2025 rock. Okay, so if you haven't met me, if I don't know you, haven't met you before, my name is Larry Hales. I've been in technology for quite a while. I own a marketing agency, and that's kind of my main focus right now is my marketing agency, which is directed mostly towards real estate agents. I have a couple of clients outside of real estate, but for the most part, I work in the real estate space. I also have a startup that I started a year and a half ago. That's still in the startup phase. Called Marketing Hero. What the Marketing Hero was for was to create AI automations for real estate agents to create content going forward. So a lot of what I'm sharing in here are real world concepts that I've implemented not only into my marketing agency, but also into my startup as well. So I've been in computers since 1983. I got my first computer, this little turkey right here. Bought his first computer, mowed a lot of lawns. It's pulled a lot of weeds. Bought his first computer, and what that kind of afforded me was a front row seat to what was coming in the future. As soon as I saw a computer, I knew that was where I wanted to be and what I wanted to do. So, for me, like getting on the ground level of computers and watching the rise of the personal computer helped significantly. It also gave me the front row seat to the newer technologies that were coming out. I was teaching college in 1993 at Clark College, and I saw a web page for the very first time, and I knew right then and there Like things were going to change. And by the way, the internet has changed everything for us. It's now a utility. Back then, it was kind of a luxury or kind of a mystery, and it was one of those things. It's a lot like AI is today, where people were really unsure of what it was and where it was going to go. So seeing the internet and being on the ground floor of the internet really, really helped me going forward. Then I saw the smartphone come out. I saw, the iPhone come out in 2007. And I knew right then and there, uh, current computers were going to move to a smaller model. We could now have the internet in our pocket. And then we saw the rise of social media. I'm not sure I should thank Mark Zuckerberg for the rise of social media, but now here comes this latest innovation. And we're 2 years into this cycle now. ChatGPT is 2 years old as of next week. And AI was never a buzzword before that, but it's a buzzword now. So just when you think you are all caught up on all this technology stuff, we get to kind of go back to the drawing board and figure out like how do we implement AI into our daily world. Now, when a lot of people see AI or talk about AI, this is usually the place they go to first, right? They're like, "Oh, the machines are going to take over and we're going to have Terminators running around here." And that's the farthest from the truth that you can get. In fact, I have a couple of my friends are millennials, and I have my kids are millennials too, and most of them don't like AI because they think it's stealing from artists and from other people. And while there might be some debate on that, we can have a good debate on that. It's not stealing from people; it's being used as training data, and so I can see where that might be misconstrued. But we are so far from this right here, it's not even funny. But I will tell you that AI is getting more advanced. In fact, every week I feel like something new has come out with AI and just blows my mind. And I'm knee deep in the middle of this, you guys. I'm researching it and constantly learning every single day. So when these new things come out and it blows my mind, I'm like, oh, I should probably share that. But I don't want people to think like I'm siding with the Terminator. So now, AI has been a part of our everyday life for a long time, probably longer than you guys even imagine. And it was only until recently, 2 years ago, that AI kind of became the buzzword. But in everything that we've been doing, technology-wise, AI has played a role in that in some way, shape, or form, whether it's from your Spotify or suggesting Netflix, your email spam filters. If you have an Alexa, that's a form of AI. Social media is like way advanced AI. And when I say way advanced, they're using AI in ways that would probably scare the dickens out of us if we knew exactly how it was being used. But AI has been a part of our lives for a long, long time. And I think there's going to be we're in the middle of a second revolution right now of AI technology and computer technology. And where we're going to see it the most, I feel like where we're going to see it the most is in two main areas. One is customer service. Like, no more are we going to be dialing somebody and we're going to hear it press one for this, press two for that, press three for this. I have I have deployed smart artificial intelligence voice bots now that can talk to people and answer questions and are communicative and can have a conversation with people back and forth. So customer service, it's changing customer service for the good because now I don't have to have an employee that has can answer the phone and answer questions 24 hours a day. And then healthcare, we're going to see huge advances in healthcare, you guys, especially with different medicines being introduced and different diseases being researched and cured because of artificial intelligence. So those are the two kind of where we're going with AI. But let's talk about our good friend ChatGPT. So ChatGPT came out 2 years ago, 2 years ago next week, as a matter of fact. And I remember the first day that it came out. And I was doing some I played around with it a little bit and I didn't really get it at the time. I was kind of scratching my head like, yeah, I'm not really sure like I totally understand this. I had been using a form of ChatGPT before that. Before it was in a chat model, it was called Jasper, which before it was Jasper, it was called Jarvis. And what I was using it for was helping me. write blog posts and helping me write social media posts as well, doing copywriting. I'm really good at a lot of things, but copywriting was never one of my strong suits. And I was taking classes on copywriting and doing all this stuff to help try to make me a better writer and a better copywriter. And I saw this blog post about Jarvis, which is now Jasper, one day, and I went in there and played with it. And what I could do is I found out that I could write the way that I wanted to write, and I could put it into Jasper, and Jasper would just make it better and give me suggestions on which way to go. And that was really my first entry into artificial intelligence and the power of it at the time. Then ChatGPT came out, and what I learned with ChatGPT was the interface was Jasper was kind of doing the prompting for me. And now that ChatGPT was in front of me, I had to learn how to program it and tell it exactly what I wanted. So once I had that revelation, I was like, I've got to share this with the world. And December the next month, I put out a YouTube video about ChatGPT for real estate and how it could just help you write listing descriptions. And needless to say, I think it took off because every single listing description, I think, on the internet is probably written by AI or ChatGPT in some way, shape, or form. Now, here's what I told people back in the day 2 years ago is that the AI train is on the tracks, okay? And it was getting ready to move. It's slowly leaving the station. Well, the AI train is now on the move and it's leaving the station. So if you're not on board the train or running for the train or getting ready to hop on the back of it, you're gonna be behind, and there's gonna be people who are in front of you in the train, and you're gonna have to play catch up. So I don't want that to be you guys. I'm gonna give you some tips and some tricks today on how you're gonna be able to leverage AI in your business going forward. Now, here's the beauty of AI today is it's commoditized. All with the new technologies came out when the internet first came out, it was reserved to bigger corporations, educational institutions. Uh, they were the ones who had control of it. Okay. And if you wanted to use it in some way, shape, or form, you had to either, pay them or buy something from them. And the beauty of AI is now it's commoditized. It's easy, it's anybody can use it. Okay. It's like if you have a computer or you have a smartphone, you can use artificial intelligence and large language models now. They're simpler to use than they were even just maybe 6, 8 months ago. We're making them simpler to use. But the main factor here, and I think that what I really want to showcase is that it's going to save you time. It's those repetitive tasks, the things that you do, or the things that you are not good at, is where AI is really going to help fill in the gaps, and put the puzzle together for you. Okay, and specialization, we can make AI specialized in a specific topic by training it on specific data to help us going forward. Now, let's talk about the different forms of AI. First, let's talk about large language models. ChatGPT came out. They were kind of the first large language model that was out there and trained. And then soon after, Anthropic Claude dropped a similar chatbot. Meta has their own large language model called Llama. Google has Gemini. There's several. There's probably hundreds out there at this moment. All these large language models. The one you're seeing here on the M on the far right is it's called Mistral. Now, what large language models do is, and a lot of people think there's magic in here and like they are just super, super smart. They're not smart. They've just been trained on a whole lot of data. They basically fed the internet, for lack of a better term, they fed all kinds of training data into the large language model and had it interpret it. And so what a large language model does is it actually predicts the next word. In fact, there's millions of data that goes into what word is going to go next. Okay. There's millions of points of data that are used to predict kind of like which words and what sequences are going to go next. So that's why it takes a ton of computing power, by the way, as I'm sure you knew. But what it does is it helps you generate or analyze text in a way that mimics human language because it's been trained to mimic that human language. So it's not smart. It's just it's trained on a whole lot of data. Think of it as kind of like the smartest 10th grader in the entire world. Okay. And then we have generative image. Now, generative image is a little bit different. What you do is you prompt, you put text in, and it's going to give you an image out on the backside. A lot of these models are pay to play because it takes a lot of computing power, and it's kind of a specialized prompting, engine that what you when you prompt an engine like this as to what you want, you have to be super specific to get the results that you want out of the backside. So, uh, Canva just bought Leonardo AI. I don't know if you guys know that, but Leonardo is a text to image generator and it's being integrated into Canva as we speak. So when you're designing something in Canva, you can explain to it, hey, I need an image that is um, a man standing on the side of a small pond with evergreen trees and a fishing pole in his hand. And it's going to generate that image for you right there in Canva. So kind of cool. Adobe Firefly. In fact, I've used every single one of these on this page. I've used almost on a daily basis. The one that I really, really like as of lately is called Flux. And what I love about Flux is I can train it with my own images and my own persona. And I can go in and I can actually put me in any scene that I want. Okay. I can say, take an image of me and put me in Harry Potter land with a magic wand in my hand, and boom, it does it. It could put me in any scene that I want. Now, where this is really great is going forward is if you're doing things like YouTube and you need YouTube thumbnails, right? So, like, here's a YouTube thumbnail right here. You can see this one, this YouTube thumbnail that was actually 100% generated by my Flux engine. Okay, so imagine the power of just being able to generate an image or a thumbnail on the fly like that without having to go and get a photographer to, you know, come out and take more photos of me doing stupid poses. Ah, oh, yee. Okay, you got it. So generative video, just going to touch on generative video. It's a lot like generative image, but instead of generating an image, it's generating video. These take massive computing power. All of them are pay to play at this point. Some of them have free models, but you're limited to maybe like 3 to 5 seconds, and that's about it. They all are very rudimentary. Like they don't do a really great job. In fact, you'll see people with like 3 arms and 10 fingers on one hand kind of thing. So, but the advances that's coming along, it's advancing pretty rapidly. So, what you're going to see in the future is probably a lot of movies are going to start using AI, and people are going to be filmmakers are just going to start using AI because they don't have to hire actors in the future. Where I think this is really, really effective for a real estate agent, and this is an example of a tool that I use called Luma. It's Dream Machine by Luma Labs, lumalabs.ai. Now, and here's the scenario is I had a real estate agent. She had images taken of this particular property right here, but she didn't pay the extra. I think it was like an extra $250 to have the video from the drone. She had drone photos, but she didn't get the drone video. And we were putting together some promos for an open house, and she wanted to showcase this backyard, but putting a still image in the backyard just didn't fit with what we were trying to do. So I said, well, let's put these images into Luma. And we said, start here, start right here and end right here. Okay. And you can see this is AI kind of filled in the gaps and built the video accordingly. Okay. So a tool like this, I think, could be really super effective. You can do it with one image. You can do it with 2 images. It doesn't matter. I've used this with one image and just said, here's an image of the front of the house. Do a slow pan into the front porch, and it would do exactly that. So now you have an a video based off of an image that you can use in your marketing going forward. So this is a great tool. I think it's like $8 a month, right around there. I think that's what I pay for this. But okay, so let's move on to our good friend ChatGPT. So when people think of AI, this is usually the first thing that they think of. They're like, "Oh, ChatGPT is AI," and ChatGPT it is a form of AI. But what it is, it's a large language model that's been trained on billions and billions of data points. Okay. And each one of and all of these models, the large language models, whether it's Flux or hang on, I lost my screen somehow. Yeah, there we go. Whether it's Flux or whether it's you know, Mistral or Anthropic Claude, they all kind of operate in the same way. They have what are called models, and the models are what it's been trained on. And every couple of months, they come out with a new, more advanced model that's trained on a bigger data set. Now, if you want to imagine a data set is this, when ChatGPT first came out, it was ChatGPT 3, right? And it was trained on a data set about the size of, let's say for reference, we'll say a size of a penny. Okay. And then when GPT 3.5 came out, it was the training model was the size of a dinner plate. And then when GPT 4 came out, it was the size of the moon. Okay. And then when GPT-5 comes out, it's going to be a training model the size of the sun. So you can see the amount of training data is retrospective. It doesn't follow a linear path. It's more, it just shoots right up. It's kind of like a hockey stick. So when you get into GPT, Chat GPT, it's going to ask you what model you want to use. The newest model is always going to be the most advanced. Okay. It's going to give you the best results. Now, here is the golden question: to pay or not to pay? Because I asked a question in the class that I did the last time, like how many people in here, raise of hands, I think there were maybe 50, 60 people in this class. How many people in here pay for their chat GPT? And I think three people out of the entire class raised their hand, and that was it, which told me that most people were dabbling in it and they didn't feel like, well, I'm not gonna pay for it unless I really want to use it. And I will say, and I'm not being paid by chat GPT to say this, if you want to take it to the next level, it's one of those things that you're going to have to pay for in order to get the most advanced. You're going to get advanced to features, the most advanced features, number one. Your performance is going to be exponentially better. The output that you're going to get out of these, because you have access to the newer models, is going to be 100 times better than you could ever think. And you're going to have more functionality at the same time. And I know everybody's subscriptioned out. I'm subscriptioned out too. Trust me, I'm way subscriptioned out. So I pay for so many subscriptions to AI models now. Like my bookkeeper is just like, she just shakes her head like, I can't believe that. That's crazy. But um, if this is going to be at the top of your tech stack, it's going to be something that you're going to use going forward, you want to use it effectively, I highly recommend paying the $20 a month for it. You're going to get back that $20 per month in probably the first day of using this tool. Okay. And I hope ChatGPT or OpenAI isn't hearing me say this. If they charged $200 a month for ChatGPT, I would probably have to pay it. It's that much, it's that integral in everything that I'm doing now. Okay. Okay. So real world applications. Where are we going to take AI and Chat GPT and put it into what we're doing for our real estate business? And I will say without a doubt, the number one on your list should be content creation. Think of it as kind of like your marketing assistant. Okay. It's a super smart marketing assistant, by the way. It knows it can help you identify who your clients are, who the ideal buyers are for that property. How do I speak to them? How do I put the right words in front of them using neuro linguistic programming to get them to click and like and comment and share and view and come to the open house? Okay. That's the most important thing that you can use Chat GPT for, and any AI model right now. So if you didn't get into this business because you're a copywriter, you're probably like most of us. Like I'm not a copywriter, but if I'm a good copywriter, AI is going to make me a great copywriter. If I'm a great copywriter, AI is going to make me unstoppable. Okay. And if you're not a good copywriter at all, it's going to just make you good enough to get the message across. Content ideation, I can't tell you how important it is for me. I use ChatGPT all the time for content ideation. I tell it like, here are the top 10 questions that I get asked on a regular basis. how can I create some content around these questions? Or what's the most important one to focus on? So if you're at a stalemate and you're like, hey, I can't figure out what to do next or where to go next, or I have this I have a condo that's been sitting on the market for 6 months and it's had two price reductions and it won't sell. Can you give me some ideas on some marketing to put out there that can help? And it's going to jump in and tell you, hey, here's some ideas. Here's some things that you can do. Okay.
Larry, just
Uh,
really quick,
yeah.
I'm butchering the name. Rawan has a question in the chat. So when I create content on ChatGPT, or even when I ask it to edit and certain
Mm,
text and check it
yeah.
on Grammarly, like check on how AI is generated. It says that it is at least 85% AI
So,
generated content.
by the way, Grammarly is a form of AI. Okay. And I've been using Grammarly for years. Grammarly is a form of AI. Yes, there are watermarks that say your content is AI generated. By and large, the people reading it aren't going to read it and say, like, that's definitely AI generated. Okay. I mean, some might, but for the most part, who cares if it's 85% AI generated? If we're talking blog posts, different story. There are some tricks that we can do by incorporating your brand voice, which we're going to cover here in a second, where you can make it so it doesn't sound so. And I hate to use the term, doesn't so it sound so Chat GPT-ish, if that's a word. Well, it is now. I just invented it. So,
Yeah.
email communication. I If you struggle with communicating back to somebody, or you write an email, it's just not good enough, or maybe it's not kind of saying exactly what you want to say. You can go into ChatGPT and say, like, write a follow-up for an email client who toured a property and hasn't responded, right? And it's gonna help you, right? It might not be perfect, but I think it'll get you 90% of the way there. Okay. So email communication is great. Data analysis, I use it for data analysis all the time. And here's where I think you guys can, real estate agents can use it for data analysis, is we can plug in your market reports and maybe even plug in like the last 3 months of market reports and say, analyze these three market reports and tell me what the trend lines are saying. Okay. And not only that, but now we can plug those. Hey, I need not only to tell me where the trend lines are going, but I need you to help me write it into a post or an email that I can send out to my database. Okay. And it'll do that for you. Personal assistant, coach, like this is AI is basically my business coach at this point. I have a business, I have a regular human business coach too, but I take what the lessons I'm learning from my business coach in group coaching, put them into my chat GPT and say, what are the steps I need to do to implement these things right here? And it's going to give me like literally a step by step. I can even tell it, put it into a calendar that I can look at every week to make sure that I'm meeting and achieving my goals. Okay. So assistant business coach, I think that's really the most impressive way to use a chat GPT today. Okay. Some grantors on businesses say they don't accept chat GPT generated content. Okay. Yeah, I could see where they don't accept chat GPT content. Here's and I'll give you some suggestions toward the end. So let me run through the prompting part of this first, and then we'll jump to the questions at the end. Because prompting is the most important part of learning AI or using AI. Now, there's four, I call it the four different levels of prompting. One is you open it up and you just start writing. Okay. You just start writing a prompt. Number two would be implementing something called custom instructions. And then we're going to move into GPTs and creating automations. So, what is a prompt? I want you to think of a prompt as like you're programming it, you're giving it instructions, you're telling it what you want and how you want it. The best way that I can describe this is pretend you just picked up an employee. There was some kid standing on the street corner and he said, I'm the smartest fifth grader in the world. And you brought him into your office and you said, hey, I need you to write a listing description for a house. He wouldn't know where to start. And that's a lot of people say, well, AI hallucinates or they put these things in there that aren't true. The reason it hallucinates is it doesn't have enough context. Okay. So I want you to treat AI like it's your brand new employee that just sat down and you have to give it instructions and you have to be as descriptive as possible. Okay. And the better and the clearer you are with the assistant, the better job they do. And then over time, they understand exactly who you are, what you're trying to do, and what you're trying to accomplish, right? So think of prompting like that. Now, here's the framework that I use for prompting. There's a whole bunch of frameworks, but I'm going to tell you the one that I use specifically. Number one, role. Who are you? What do you do? What's your experience? Okay, so I'm a licensed real estate agent in Washington State. I have 15 years of experience, and I'm an expert in social media marketing. Okay, that's your role. What's the context? The context is you're telling it what you want. Like, here's the instructions, here's the things I want you to do, here's the address, here's the amenities, here's the listing price, those kinds of things. So you're giving it context on that. And then the style, I need it written in an authoritative tone or a professional tone or inject a tiny bit of humor. Okay. That would be the style. And then the format, we have to say, okay, what do I want the output to be? Do I want it to be an email? Do I want it to be a social media post? Do I want it to be a a blog post? So you have to tell it the format. And then the last thing I give it, and I can't tell you how important this is right here, is to give it examples of things that you do or like in the past. Okay. And a good way to say this is, here's four samples of my last four social media posts. I want this post formatted much like these right here. The more examples that you give it, you're kind of giving it like a map or a framework, and it goes like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I can do that. And it just spits it out for you. So here's an example of a prompt right here. Now, this might seem really, really long. I have prompts that are 3 pages. Okay. So this is a short prompt. And in retrospect, this is a very short prompt. Act as a successful real estate agent. My preferred voice tone is professional. My preferred writing style is informative. Use a combination of my tone and style to create a listing description for a home with the following amenities. What you see in red would be the context. I'm giving it context. So I have to tell it what amenities I want in there. I have to tell the address, the characteristics, and the neighborhood. I want those things implemented into my listing description. And then I'm giving it further context. Keep the description simple, easy to read. Ensure the language complies with HUD's Fair Housing Advertising Guidelines, Part 109. Hopefully, the model's been trained on that and knows what I'm talking about to avoid any discriminatory or exclusionary language. It must be written a single paragraph that does not exceed 1,200 characters. Use sentence vocabulary that is simplified to suit a seventh grade reading level. Here's the example that I used in this one. Avoid using the verbs boast, boasting, or boast and the words cozy, nestled, chef, and culinary. You can add more to this list if you want. There's a whole bunch of cliche words that you're going to see all of the time in ChatGPT output. Okay. And by putting that in there, you're telling it, here's what I don't want you to do. Okay. So that's an example of a prompt. Now, if you're not good at prompting, you're not alone. There's tools out there that can help you prompt. There's a tool out there called AIPRM. It's really great. It has a library of prompts where you can just go copy and paste and put them in. Keywords everywhere, same thing. A library where you can go in. They have one specifically done for real estate. But I'm going to tell you my secret weapon. And this is the one that I use. And I use this all the time, you guys. I just use ChatGPT to help me prompt. I say, here's my prompt. Here's what I'm trying to accomplish. How can I make this prompt better? And I put it into ChatGPT, and ChatGPT spits it out. It's kind of like using a dog to train your dog, I guess, in a way, right? So, like, I put it into ChatGPT and I say, help me improve this, and it tells me, here's how you can improve it. Here's what we can do. And I'm telling you, it's absolute genius. Like, it's a genius concept. Not good at prompting? Use ChatGPT to help you prompt. Boom. There you go. Second level, custom instructions. Now, custom instructions are specifically for ChatGPT. What you can do is they have two different levels in custom instructions. They have a top level and a bottom level. The top level is your bio, and it says, how would you like ChatGPT to know, or what would you like ChatGPT to know about you and your business? Okay. To provide better responses. You put your bio in there, you put your experience in there, who you are, what you do, what you love, those kinds of things. And then in the bottom, we put your brand voice. Now, what is your brand voice? Is how you say things, like your style, your tone, that kind of thing. And we can talk about brand voice here in a minute, but we put that in the bottom. And what it's going to do is it's gonna fill in the role in that prompting framework that I just showed you, where you no longer have to put in the role or the style. So everything you see here in yellow is already filled in by ChatGPT. So when I come into ChatGPT, it already knows who I am. It knows my experience level. It knows my business. It knows my tone and style. Therefore, everything that I get out of ChatGPT from this point forward is going to be used from that custom instructions. I don't have to tell it that stuff anymore. Okay, so you want to talk about a time saver? That right there, that just the custom instructions is going to save you a ton of time and a ton of frustration when it comes to prompting. Uh, I have a guide, and if you want to go check it out, so here's what the guide does: is you submit writing samples that you had pre-Chat GPT, by the way. Okay. And your writing samples can be maybe longer form content, a couple paragraphs from an email. We take excerpts from your reviews and put your review excerpts in there. And what it does is it creates a brand voice for you so that you can take that brand voice and put it into custom instructions. I've been doing this right here for probably ever since custom instructions came out like a year and a half ago. And I'm telling you, it changes everything when you have your brand voice put into Chat GPT, and it knows how you say things, what your clients say, how your business operates, all of those things. And you program that into Chat GPT, your output is going to be exponentially better. Exponentially.
So
Okay.
Larry, really
Yeah.
quick, if you want
Yep.
to go back to that, is that how you do? Oh, I just saw the next slide. Is that the QR code? What is that exactly for again? Is that to set up your only brand voice or
Yep.
your
It's
personal GPT?
just your brand voice. Yep. So, and what it does is it walks you through creating your brand voice so that you can fill out these custom instructions right here and make it more effective.
Okay. Everybody make sure you scan it.
And I'm telling you, going in and having Chat GPT analyze your business and your brand voice and then putting into custom instructions, the output that you get out of this when you're writing emails, when you're writing blog posts, social media posts, it sounds like you. It legitimately sounds like you. It's uncanny how good it does. Uncanny. Okay. Custom GPTs are a little bit different. Now, custom GPTs are, I want you to think of a custom GPT as like a pre-programmed AI assistant. Okay. You hired an assistant to do nothing but help you write social media captions, and that's all they do. Okay. You can pre-program these custom GPTs to do specific tasks. This is a paid feature in ChatGPT. So if you want to use custom GPTs or learn about custom GPTs, in fact, I have a class coming up next week that I just launched yesterday. Yeah, on how to build these. It's a whole workshop on how to build custom GPTs to help you going forward. But I want you to think of this is you train so large language models like ChatGPT they've been trained on all of this data. And what we're going to do is we're going to train it on our data for a specific task. And I'll give you an example. That specific task would be I want to create social media captions for my listings that are HUD compliant and optimized for specific specific social media networks. Okay. We can go in and create these custom GPTs that do all that. What it does is it saves us from actually having to prompt at all. Okay. And here's the best way to think about this is here's the prompt after I create a custom GPT. Everything you see in yellow, I don't have to say anymore. I don't have to do anymore. It's already pre-programmed in there. And I can just come in and say, hey, here's what I need. I'm looking for this right here. And I just put in the address and the amenities, and it just does exactly what it needs to do. Okay. So they're they're not they're not super easy to set up, but if you have a base knowledge of technology and you can follow instructions, they're easier than you think to set up. And they honestly they're going to save you a ton of time. I'll tell you, here's the one custom GPT that I built that I use all of the time now. And it's called a local event scout. And so what I did is I just said, okay, I'm gonna put in an address or a city or a region, and I want you to go out and search the web and find any family-friendly events that I can use in an email newsletter. And what it does is it goes out, you put in a city, it goes out, it searches that city, it comes back and says, we found these 7 events right here. You copy and paste those into a newsletter and send it out, and you're done. It's just like that. I have another GPT that I built where you put in a preliminary title report, and it runs through the entire preliminary title report and acts as a professional title officer at a title company and examines this title report for any possible red flags, and then explain them to me in a way that I can send it off to my client and explain it to them. Okay. So I'm telling you, there's so many ways to use custom GPTs. In fact, I have a running list of about 25 or 30 of these that I built and used on a regular basis now. So that's going to be a great class.
So Larry,
Uh,
do you want to put the
yeah,
class in there?
yeah. You want me to put a link to the class?
Yes, please. So anybody who's interested in doing their GPT, that's the next class to attend.
So let's see. I'll grab it at the end. How about that? If
Okay,
I grab it at the end.
sounds great.
Let's see. Okay, and then the last thing we're going to talk about real quick is automation. And here's kind of like the future. This is a little bit more advanced. I debated whether I should even put this in here, but I think it's important to mention this is kind of where the future of AI is going. Is you're going to get a notification that says, "Hey, Larry, we noticed you just got a new listing at 123 Main Street. Would you like us to put social media marketing out for this?" And it's going to run through a scenario. This is an example scenario that I have right here. I know it looks kind of scary, but what it's going to do is going to say like, "Hey, we noticed you got a new listing." It's going to go in, it's going to transcribe, it's going to create content for you, and then it's going to schedule content on all of these social media posts right here. Okay. So this is one example right here. I even have another one that I created where it not only creates content for you and schedules it out on these different platforms, but it'll actually create a blog post for you and then schedule that blog post out for you and then create an email from that blog post and set it out in an email marketing platform. Okay. So this is the future. I mean, they're called AI agents now, and we're going to see them more and more and more in the future going forward. This AI agents are going to be kind of the mainstream. You're just going to have an AI assistant and say, "Hey, I need this," and this is going to sound scary. It's going to sound really scary. The AI agents are going to be able to take over your computer and click and do things for you and go and accomplish that task. They just released it last week, like maybe a week and a half ago, where you can actually do this now. Okay. And I've set up a couple of them. They're still a little rudimentary. They need some polishing and some practice, but I think this is the future of where we're going now is smart AI agents is definitely the future. Okay. Uh, One last thing I want to leave you with is before we get into the Q&A is if you're a paid subscriber on ChatGPT, you have this advanced voice on the app. And I will tell you, this has changed everything for me. When this came out, when the advanced voice came out, and I could talk to ChatGPT while I was out walking my dogs on a walk. My neighbors probably think I'm wacko, because I'm walking my dogs and I'm talking to a robot while I'm walking the dogs. I use this for everything. I use it for brainstorming. I use it for what was the name of that guy that was in that movie with the fungus and the zombies and and be like, "Oh, you're thinking of The Last of Us," and his name is Pedro Pascal and he's in the new movie for Gladiator 2. And you're like, "Oh yeah, these are the kinds of things you can do in this right here." But what I use it for mostly is brainstorming, and you can drive and talk. Some of my best ideas come when I'm driving, and I can pop open my advanced AI and say, "Hey, I just had this amazing idea for this." And here's what I'll tell you: ChatGPT, especially, it's a Labrador Retriever. Okay. It always wants to please you. It's always looking to please you. You put an idea in there and it's going to be like, Larry, that is the best idea ever. Oh my gosh, you're so amazing. Okay. What you almost have to do is you have to tell these models, especially ChatGPT, like, hey, don't try to please me. Act as a contrarian and poke some holes in this and tell me what I might be missing. And it's funny because, like, literally the tone of the thing will change. It'll be like, okay, you asked for it, and it'll tell you, like, hey, here's you might be missing this and this and this and this. And now I have all of these things I got to address. So instead of it takes this great idea that I have and says, here's some things you might be missing. Like I did a dry run of this entire class. I put the transcript into Chat GPT and it said, like, it's too technical. You said this was AI for beginners and you're getting too technical, Larry. Like you need to make this more entry level. You're doing a 201 and this is 101. So that's an example of ways that we can use AI going forward. So, what's your next steps? This is Here's what I will tell you more than anything is you have to go in and you have to play and you have to practice with these models. Okay. We have to practice, start experimenting with different prompts and different prompt styles. Get your custom instructions set up. I will tell you that will change everything for you when it comes to prompting and getting AI to speak like you and sound like you and do things in a tone of voice that sounds more reflective of you and your business is the custom instructions. If you're stuck, let's see if chat just find something that you're stuck on, like a task that is always repetitive or something that you're not good at, and ask chat gpt, how can you help me solve this question, and it'll give you some data on how to solve it. And then the custom gpt workshop we have coming up, that's going to be a really really fun one too. But if you guys have questions, comments, you want to schedule a quick little 15-minute powwow to find out like how we're doing things different and how I can help you. If you just go to summitmarketing.ai, I have a book a discovery call right there. You can go book a call. We can jump on and do a quick little powwow and see what I can do to help you out. So let's open it up for questions. So let's see.
Rana had a
Ron,
question again at the
I have
bottom
a
about
question
data.
about data analysis. Okay. So here's what ChatGPT is really, really great at. They call it a multimodal. And what multimodal means is it can take in different forms of text or PDFs or images. I can upload an image to ChatGPT and say, analyze this image and tell me what's in it. And it's going to read the image and look at the image and say, it looks like you have an image of teriyaki chicken on your plate, Larry. It looks yummy. Um, with data analysis, you put in any kind of data that you want, whether it's an Excel, a CSV, PDF, and then you ask it to say, hey, what would be good prompts to ask it for data analysis? That's okay. Yeah. So you just say like, hey, can you analyze this data and tell me what points you want out of it? Number one. So if the data is a financial report, you can say, hey, can you analyze this financial report and tell me what my profit and loss, is. Okay. Or if it's let's say market data. If it's market data and data analysis, what are the key points you want out of it? You can say, what's the absorption rate over the last 6 months and how has it changed? And it's gonna analyze all that data and then give it to you on the backside. So, but what as far as good prompts to ask it, just what questions do you have about the data? Like, what kind of information do you want it to analyze and pull out? And then you just talk to it just like a human. Talk to it just like it's like a fifth grader, like the smartest fifth grader in the whole world is sitting at the end of your desk, and you just gave him all this data. Like, what do you want? You got to tell him, kind of what data you want out of it. So anything else? Was that
So,
too much? Too advanced? I hope it wasn't too advanced.
no, that was wonderful. Thank you, Larry. You're wonderful. And this was definitely eye-opening. And I'm blown away that that there's an AI out there that can actually take over your computer. So I just want
Yeah, they just released it last month. And I remember I saw it for the first time on a YouTube channel and I was like, I don't know about that. I don't know if I want something poking around and acting as me on my computer. So I'm gonna find my link for that class.
Yes, and the
And I got it.
GPT, I find that very interesting because the more you use it, I've noticed it doesn't sound like me, and that's been really bugging me. And
Mm-hmm.
so, just like you pointed out, that is really important that it starts sounding like you. Like when you put a text together, I'm like, oh, that sounds just like Larry. And that is Larry, so it's more personal.
It probably is. And I'll tell you where this is going to come in really, really handy is if you do hire a marketing assistant, now they kind of know, um, well, they know exactly what you say and how you say it, how you write blog posts, all of that fun stuff. So it's in a way, it's kind of like having your own little marketing assistant sitting right there at your desk. You know what? I had that link up here a second ago. Oh, there it is. I found it. Copy. Here we go. Copy. Let me paste this into the chat here.
I'm also going to put the 3 links again to follow Larry on his social medias. He has some wonderful things on his YouTube about AI and other wonderful Google
There
business.
you go.
Oh,
So
perfect.
there's
Got it.
there's a link to the class right there. I just launched it like literally last night because I posted something on social media a couple of days ago and I was like, you guys, I'm like using ChatGPT with custom GPTs to do all these amazing things and I have to share it with you guys. Like, who's interested? And I think it had like 100 comments like in the first day and I was like, okay, I guess I should probably do a class. And
Sorry, just one more question.
yeah,
For the transcription of the video calls or whatever, what is
yeah.
the application that you use?
Okay, so the one that I'm using now
All right.
is
So my
is
last class
Otter.
ended up not recording, so I could just do this solo
Oh,
all over again.
somebody's got my YouTube up.
Got it. Yes. And it's from France. Philippe.
Yeah. So the tool that I use is called Otter AI, and I also use Zoom AI. When I'm in an in-person appointment, I just pull up Otter on my phone right here. Uh, and I asked them permission, like, hey, would you mind if I recorded this conversation going forward? And what it does is it helps identify the speakers and it even tells me like who the speakers are. So Larry said this, and Janine said this, and Randy said this. And then it summarizes all of that and I can share the notes with the person. So it's kind of like an advanced note taker, if you will. Zoom has really advanced note taking as well. So in fact, what I'm doing now is this sounds a little advanced. Well, it's a little advanced. Is I have it automatically connected and automated through Zapier. So whenever a new conversation shows up in Otter, it transcribes it and then automatically uploads it to my OpenAI assistant, my Larry AI, for lack of a better term. So it automatically uploads it to there to be used as training data. Yeah, it's fun.
It is fun. Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. You know, I was talking to somebody the other day, and we were talking about like cloning yourself and putting yourself into AI. And I think what we're going to see within a relatively short amount of time is I can train all kinds of video, my persona, like everything. And in 50 years, my great grandkids can come on and have a conversation with me. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine what it would be like if you could pull up an AI version of your great grandfather and talk to him about what things were like back then? And just like you're having a conversation like right here, and it's his likeness, it's his voice, it's his mannerisms, the way he says things, it's his lazy eye, you know, like that's gonna be a thing. In fact, I think it probably is already a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we're going to get surprised on a daily, weekly, yearly basis for sure.
Oh, right now it's like every week something new comes out and you're just like, oh no. Like I gotta learn that. Um But there are ways to be able to utilize this tool and this technology that are going to be super effective for your business without having to relearn things every single week. And I think just learning ChatGPT and a large language model that's going to help you do repetitive tasks, like that's base 101 right there. You're on the train and you're riding the train now. So
Thank you, Larry. We got lots of big thank yous in here. Great content. You can see in the chat here. Always wonderful having you. And yeah, reach out to Larry if you have any more questions. Very helpful, wonderful person. And
oh, thanks,
everybody.
Janine. And maybe we'll see you on the custom GPT class. That's going to be mind blowing. It'll be mind blowing. If this one blew your mind, the custom GPT class is going to make
Oh,
you
I
go.
can't wait. That's the first thing I'm going to do afterwards.
Cool. Let's go.
Okay.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for having me.
Thank
Peace.
you.